Welcome everybody to another play. I should not another, the first playoff edition of the Fantasy Firebox. I'm your host, Jigsaw Cutillo, joined by Dan Old School Green, Pittsburgh John Coker. Win Daily Sports is where you find this show. YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, Facebook, anywhere you get your social media from. Check us out. But most importantly, go to the YouTube channel. Go to windailysports.com. Click on the video button. It's very easy. You join live right there. It takes you right to our YouTube page. Subscribe, hit the bell, and don't forget to sign up. Again, most important, windailysports.com. You sign up, get a free week of gold, free week projection models. Everything's in there for your first fantasy week, and we guarantee you're going to like it so much, you're not going to leave. Trust me, you get to see these pretty faces all the time, and all the other hosts. Listen, if you haven't seen Seeing a Jod yet, dressed up, my man is proper. So it is a good reason to get it just for that. But again, fellas, it's cold. We're in the East Coast. It's about 5 degrees here. Yes. All right, it is about 5 degrees here. But here's the thing. I forgot. I want to start off with this because we talked about Win Daily Sports, and I'm very proud to be a part of the Win Daily family. But we checked in with a legend, okay? And this is why you stay with Win Daily Sports.
Whether you like it or don't like it, learn to love it because it's the best thing going today.
You can't start off any better than the Nates, right? The Nates. That's my boy Jason. So with Jason, when you're listening, you're going to be rolling your eyes because of the wrestling terms. But me and Adam be all over that. But Dan, John, what's up, fellas? How you doing?
Good morning, Tim. Good morning, John.
Yeah, all good here.
Wait, this is the first time we've had the three of us together.
It's a reunion of sorts for a while.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. And think about it. In a couple weeks, this is going to turn into basically a showdown / NBA / hopefully Major League Baseball preview. But we got a lot of stuff to talk about. We got games today. And am I wrong that this is the first time ever we've had a Monday night playoff game?
It's first time.
So very interesting. So we're not going to talk about Monday night. We may, because as general, we're going to talk about because a lot of people play fantasy leagues and, they have to set their lineups week to week, or they have to set their lineups in the beginning where those players drop off. Now, I'm in an interesting league where you can start a guy on a bye and, he's not going to give you, like you start Aaron Rodgers this week, put him in your lineup. Next week, you go in and you don't get rid of Aaron Rodgers, but he counts as double the points next week, and you get to change out any guys that fell off this week that were to lose. Some league, the other league I'm in, once they go, you're gone. You're picking for the long haul. You're picking one guy per team. That's it. One guy per team. You gotta pick one person from each team. So you have to figure out who's the team you're gonna pick the kicker from. But Dan, they get to you. How many playoff leagues did you join so far?
I'm in just one.
And there's nothing wrong with that. And what are your terms on that one?
It's kind of like the one you just referenced. It's a suicide league where you play, you play every position, wide receiver, running back, 2 of them, and you can never use those players again. So there's some strategy involved. You save the team that you think is going to make it to the Super Bowl type players as long as you can. Do you go with teams that you think players will perform well but be out after week 1 so that you don't lose their values? So, it's a suicide league. And you can't, not a suicide. You can't use the players ever again kind of league. You can use them once a week and that's it.
Listen, and that's tough. And I know, John, you've been around a long time as well. And we've gone through a lot of these leagues. And that's one of the, in my opinion, the hardest ones to do because you need to forward think, right? Who's going to go deep into the playoffs? Is it going to be Brady and the Buccaneers? Or is Brady not going to have a great, tremendous fantasy total for the next couple of weeks? And maybe a guy like Joe Burrow blows up in week 1 and outpaces him even though they lost. So how do you kind of do your strategy when it comes to playoff fantasy?
My playoff fantasies works a little different, but yeah, I mean, if you're going to be able to switch your lineup through the playoffs, that opens a lot of doors. Not that there's any less strategy, but it all depends. You got to know your rules. I mean, no matter what. I mean, the one I'm in is pretty simple. It's just set your regular fantasy lineup with a flex. That's all you're drafting. So 1, 2, 2, 1 flex, kicker D. When they're out, they're out. If they're on a bye, they're on a bye. So yeah, you got to play a little bit of how far you think they're going to go in the playoffs. And of course, all the Chiefs go first and the Packers go, especially the Chiefs, because if you could get that team that's likely to make it to the AFC NFC championship game / Super Bowl and get them in the wild card, it's like an extra game over Aaron Rodgers and the Packers. Brady and Mahomes, if either of them could, I'm saying it's that wild card plays in a little bit. But truthfully, with daily football playoff leagues, I mean, they're nice, but it's not even like I need to get into 3 of them because I'm just playing daily anyway. I just play the whole slate, play the day. I'm doing a little bit of both.
No, I like that, and that's the truth with the world DFS. That's kind of where you do it. I mean, you could do showdown lineups, you could just do the weekend lineups. So I'm the same way as you guys. I'm doing one playoff league, and the rest are just all going to be daily because there's so many different things that could happen. So let's get to these games. And number one, weather, right? Number one, weather is going to be an issue in a lot of these games. The Tampa game with the rain and 40-mile-an-hour winds. You got Buffalo, like 18 degrees, 2 degree wind chill factor, right? Gusty winds out there. So many things. So Dan, do you look at that as a number one strategy when you're making these lineups? And if you do, are you staying away from either one of those games, or are you kind of just looking at it from a different perspective?
No, I absolutely do. If it's going to be heavy rain and heavy wind, that's going to be probably more run centric, but I'm not trusting any players from the Eagles in fantasy this week or DFS this week. And the Buffalo game, correct me if I'm wrong, gentlemen, isn't this almost a similar script to that game where Belichick only passed the ball 3 times?
Yep.
It's no different. He doesn't want Mac Jones to screw the pooch again. So maybe you go, you lean heavy on, Harris, in that game, or Stevenson in that game for the running game, because you almost sense that Belichick doesn't want to throw the ball. So
here's the thing about that game. And it's one thing that we've always talked about. And I know, John, we've talked about plenty over the years, is how Bill Belichick always stops the number one player on the other team, right? So we have to figure out who's that guy. Is that guy Josh Allen? You're not probably going to stop Josh Allen, but you got to stop somebody on the outside, which could be Stephon Diggs, which could open it up for a guy like my guy, Gabriel Davis.
Yeah.
But one guy in particular that I absolutely love this entire postseason is Devin Singletary. It's amazing that he came in as an afterthought, obviously because of the whole Zach Moss experiment. We all thought Zach Moss, and people got on the Matt Breida wagon, but they have fallen in love with Devin Singletary, with the way he's been able to run, the way he's been able to get outside, pick up blocks, pick up blitzes, pass protection, screenplays, and he's getting the goal line carry. So, John, Devin Singletary could he be one of these diamonds in the rough that we look out for this entire playoffs?
He could be. He's on a heater. They got something going. All right. Looking into next year's draft, yes, he's been playing very well. What has he changed? And what has changed over the past 2 to 3 years? Because he couldn't even take the job from Zach Moss last year. He couldn't even wrangle that job this year. He basically didn't do too much his rookie year. You got Matt Breida stepping up in there. You know what I mean? Who else? They had someone, I think, his rookie year he couldn't even beat out. So, yeah, he's playing really well now. I like him in the playoffs. I think it helps the Bills as a team. And, now it's all about wins. It's not about egos. It's not about Josh Allen passing stats. None of that. It's win the ball game. And they found a recipe a little bit on how to get that offense a little more balanced. So I definitely do like him through the playoffs, but questionable how high I would take him. I'll take him as a flex next year, saying just granted, we're 9 months, 6 months away.
You're going next year.
I would say he would be a flex in my book, but probably a number 2 in somebody else's.
So here's my thing. The reason why I really like them is because we've seen this Buffalo team struggle offensively for the first half of the season, trying to find their way, their direction, try to basically reinvent the wheel, so to speak. And I think they found that in Singletary. And listen, I get it's the Jets and it was the Falcons, right? Everybody's just saying, oh, the Jets. But I'm looking at volume. John, 3 of the last 4, he's gotten 20 plus touches. He scored 5 touchdowns in the last 4 weeks. And he's been in double-digit fantasy points, okay, since week 13. So, and that's when they finally start to reinvent themselves. So even against a team like Tampa Bay, who's got a really stout front, still gave you 15 fantasy points, right? Because he was able to get out in the flat, 7 targets, right? You're talking about a guy who does it all. And for 5,700, if you look at just this weekend specifically, you have to look at, besides like Joe, do I really want to trust Josh Jacobs? Do I want to trust Najee Harris? Damian Harris, yes, been good. But again, I never trust Bill Belichick. And James Conner, I love, listen, he's a touchdown monster, but you just never know. Is he healthy enough? Is he going to be okay to ride out the entire game? So I think Devin Singletary this weekend, him and Elijah Mitchell, in my opinion, could be your top 2 options underneath Mixon. So, that's just me. That's the way I'm looking at it. And they come cheap, 57 and 5,500. You could build a really, really nice lineup. Theo checking in. What's up, Theo? He says, today, boys, exactly. Today's where it all starts, Theo. So let me know who you're looking, Theo. Let me know. Are you in on a Singletary wagon? Are you in on the Elijah Mitchell wagon? Or are you just going full bore right up top to Mixon and to guys like Najee Harris? Dan, what about you, running back position? Are you just going top tier? Or are you looking for those gems?
No, well, the top tier is definitely Mixon. One of the things I just recently discovered, and unfortunately this doesn't work for DFS, like as you mentioned, the Monday night game kind of screws the pooch on this. But do you realize who the leading rusher in the third leading rusher in the NFL is since week 12? And that would make him the leading rusher in the playoffs, because the top 2 guys on that list are not in the playoffs. So who's in the playoff is the leading rusher since week 12?
Is it Sony Michel?
Correct. And another guy that interests me is Darrell Williams, because Hilaire's out.
He is out.
So at 5,200, why not give it? Do you think Gore's going to poach carries away from him in a playoff game?
So Darrell Williams right now on DraftKings is 5,500.
Oh, he went up.
And he still has the toe issue. So he's questionable. Toes are interesting. Right. So you don't know how the game's going to go. And I know this is a great question for John, because he is the Pittsburgh guy. We just don't know how that game's going to go. You're right, Dan. It's a great value, and Gore's even probably a better value.
Correct.
Just in case this game gets out of hand, or in case that, they try to limit the touches of Williams based on his toe, right? Because toes are different, man. And you also got Jerick McKinnon out there, who, they could float my guy, right? They could float that guy in there as well. But, I don't know. John, how do you expect that game to go out there in Pittsburgh?
Like every other game, they'll be down, I don't know, 13, whatever, 17 at halftime. Ben will cut it close. They'll lose by about 10. But Najee's the focal point. It's not like Ben's going to go out there and throw for 500 yards. I'd love to see it, but it's still going to be run Najee on first, run Najee on second, swing it to him on third, 3 and out. All right. The offense does revolve around him. He's been playing a lot better. I mean, I like him. Truthfully, this week, every running back that's decent, the price tag is within range.
Yeah.
And you're talking about your top guy at 6,800 and Joe Mixon, and what I would put as the floor of 5,400 and Sony Michel. I could see any of these guys. I mean, Josh Jacobs, I don't really like him. He's been doing good. He's like 65. You can make an argument for almost any of the running backs that are in that range. I mean, I got even Elijah Mitchell, 5,500. Sony Michel, I got them 2 and Mixon in one lineup. The other one's probably similar. I put in Najee Harris and who did I put in? Oh, and Singletary in the flex. So there's a bunch of different guys that I think you could put in. I think they're all going to deliver good value.
I think you're spot on, 100%. And Theo says he's looking at Mixon and Singletary. Theo, I listen. I think Mixon obviously is the top dog in this slate, right? But I agree with you. Like I'm going 1, 2, 3. I'm going Mixon, Singletary, Mitchell. That's my 1, 2, 3. I'm not ashamed to go with Singletary or Mitchell. And again, Sony Michel is a close number 4. I think right there is where we go. They offer the best value, and like John said, the price point is not that steep. I'll never pay $6,500 for Josh Jacobs. He's on the DTM list to me. He is completely dead to me. I will never, ever start Josh Jacobs ever again. I just won't do it. But let's swing. We listen. Let's swing to the receivers because I think there's a lot of interesting things because we try to keep the show flowing. Nobody wants to sit here and listen to us for an hour, right? So let's look at the receivers for this weekend because I think at the receiver spot it's a little different. And number one, you just look at those top 3. I don't think DraftKings could get it wrong with Cooper Kupp, Debo, and Jamar Chase. But how about Debo? Listen, everybody's talking about Cooper Kupp, rightfully so. The guy had an amazing year. How about Debo Samuel, right? How about Debo as a top 5 receiver, actually a top 3 receiver in fantasy this year? Guy just electric, doing it all. One week he's got 3 catches and 12 runs. The next week he's got 10 catches and 2 runs. I mean, he's all over the field. If he could just stay healthy for an entire year, he could be the number 2 and fight Cooper Kupp for the number 1 spot in fantasy when it comes to receivers. So, John, when we're looking at receivers, we know what the top tiers are, but how are you breaking this group down? Because there's a lot of interesting values if you really dive deep into these rankings.
I mean, the big guy that I keep coming back to is Ty Johnson on the Bucks. I mean, that's my value play, 4,000. That's really the guy. Cecil Grayson's out. I do like Mike Evans a lot. I mean, truthfully, if I'm pairing guys up, I like Brady with Evans this week. I like Burrow would love to get him with Chase, but the other thing that I keep ending up with is Higgins at 6,300, trying to fit some other players in. If I could save, what's Chase? 74. So saving $1,100 to upgrade another position, and I'm getting T. Higgins because, I mean, truthfully, Burrow's going to hit who's open. I mean, we've seen them both have good games in the same game. We've seen, some of them outperform, one outperform the other, but I think either of them can do it. So Higgins, just trying to get a piece of that offense. It's not cheap, but when I got Burrow out there and I don't feel like paying up for Chase, I think Higgins is a good second.
Yeah, listen, that Cincinnati Raiders game should be a lot of points scored in that game, in my opinion. I'm pinpointing that game right on the map. Now, Theo says, do you worry about Debo taking a touchdown for Mitchell? No, you're going to both going to get theirs, in my opinion. I am not afraid at all. I think Mitchell scores at least once and Debo scores at least once. And one of them is going to get 2. Not sure who it's going to be, but their numbers are going to be high enough without the touchdown for them to be a value. Our buddy Rick checking in says Renfro in daily, especially in leagues that Dan is in. I love Hunter Renfro, man. I love Hunter Renfro. He was my preseason pick to be that guy. He continues to be that guy. He just produces, and he's a gritty receiver. But I got some really dive deep into Cincinnati because I'm a Tyler Boyd guy. And I know everybody's going to jump on the Higgins bandwagon and jump on the Chase band, rightfully so. But if you dive and look at what Tyler Boyd has done, since week 13, he's been in double-digit points. He's had at least 5 targets per game. And he's getting to the point where he's being a touchdown threat, 3 touchdowns in 3 games. I'm not a touchdown-dependent guy, and I don't think Tyler Boyd is either. I just think this offense is so good right now that he comes the forgotten guy against opposing defenses. And he's talented to be a number 2 / maybe a 1B on another team that doesn't have T. Higgins and Jamar Chase. And for 5,000, Dan, I really think that this is going to be a steal this weekend.
No, I agree. And you hit the nail on the head with the they have one of the best receiving cores in football. And I remember seeing someone post the three of them on Twitter as the best receiving core in the league, and everyone was mocking the person who put that post. But I think a lot of teams would love to have those three guys as their wideouts and not have to worry about that position for many years. So I think, I lean towards, no, I like the Boyd value, but I kind of was doing what John referenced. I didn't want to go, if you wanted to save money with Chase, I was leaning a little more Higgins. But it's funny, Rick stole my thunder. I love Hunter Renfrow this weekend. And I'll do a little bold prediction since we might be short on time.
Oh, yeah, that's good.
I think Renfrow is going to have more receptions and yards than Chase this weekend.
Ooh, I like that. I love the bold predictions.
See, and I like a little bit of Zay Jones at 4,200. I've been riding him.
John loves him some Zay Jones.
I don't love Zay Jones. I never liked the guy until he started he's getting balls. You know what I mean? Week 14, 7 targets, 9 targets, 8 targets, 10 targets, 8 targets, $4,200, and you can guarantee me 8 targets. And that's kind of, look, Boyd usually catches almost everything thrown to him, but he's only getting 4, 5, 6 targets. This dude, his floor is about 8 targets at 4,200. That's why I keep going to him. I don't like Zay Jones, but if Carr wants to throw him the ball, I'll take him.
Now and you know what? That's a great line of thinking. I mean, that's what it's all about, because 4,200, I mean, like you said, volume is the key, right? Volume is key. If you're getting 7 to 8 targets a game, you know that guy's going to do something for you, and now he's going to be able to fill in your lineup when you're going after those big guns.
How about this guy? 8 targets. Well, 1 aberration, 3 targets, 8 targets, 10 targets, 9 targets. My man Ray.
Oh, that's Ray McLeod. Look, you hear John.
3,600 for Ray McLeod this week.
I just puked in my mouth a little bit.
I know.
Yo.
You should hear me screaming at the TV every time it goes to Ray McLeod. Ever since he fumbled that one punt return,
He dead to you?
Yes. Yeah, well, don't throw it to Claypool. Just throw it to Ray McLeod. Don't throw it to that dude that can jump to the sky.
Listen, this is good, because we what everybody knows the top guys are, right? So we got to get the value in, and I like me some Cole Beasley this week. You know, we talk about bold predictions. Cole Beasley is going to lead the team in receiving and catches in New England this week. For Buffalo, this is going to be a game where the passing game is going to come back down to earth a little bit. Josh Allen's not going to be airing it out, the weather being what it is. This is going to be a slot receiver kind of game. This is going to be a short passing kind of game, and that breeds Cole Beasley. So for me, Cole Beasley is one of my bold predictions. And the other bold prediction, because we're getting that right now, is we didn't even talk about the Philadelphia Eagles. We are Eagles proud here. I know we're not going game to game. Jalen Hurts is going to ball today. I don't care how much rain is out there. I don't care how much wind. Let me just tell you something. This kid has been ranked the second to least talented quarterback in the playoffs, above only John's guy and Ben Roethlisberger. Okay? That is a complete slap in the face to Jalen Hurts. I don't care what you say about him. I don't care if you say the guy's got no arm, he can't make a pass. Listen, all I know is the Philadelphia Eagles are in the playoffs because of Jalen Hurts. Because guess what? If A.J. Feely was behind there, okay, I'm going to bring us some backup quarterbacks, right? If A.J. Feely or Coy Detmer was in there, right, this would not be happening right now. So stop putting him in that category. This kid is legit. He can play the quarterback in the NFL. That's why the Eagles are where they're at. So my bold prediction, I'm going to go Jalen Hurts for 300-plus yards a day through the air. I think that game is going to, number one, everybody thinks it's going to be low scoring. I completely disagree. I don't care about the weather. I think this is going to be an air-out game. I think they're going to stop the run, and I think they're going to force the Eagles to pass. And I think the Eagles, remember, nobody thought we could do that in the Super Bowl either. And I think it's going to be the same kind of storyline. And I predict that Jalen Hurts will be that guy. Now, Theo says, would you fade Mixon and get Chase, Higgins, and Boyd? That's a lot, man. That is a lot of Bengals on one team. I don't know if I could put all that Cincinnati on one squad. I honestly hate mixing. I don't like wife beaters. I don't care. It is what it is. So I don't play him in any fantasy format. I'm not ashamed to say it. It is what it is. But it's hard not to see what he's done this year and what he could do this week, right? So Theo says Saturday only. You know what? I the only thing I don't like about three of those guys is now you're relying on the entire passing game to click. So if that passing game doesn't click, you're out, right? So I would definitely not. If you're going to start three, that's fine, but I would have to put Mixon in there because specifically it gives you that balance just in case that were to happen. But there's a lot. Listen, John said another guy, Tyler Johnson, right? Another $4,000 value for Tampa Bay. Right, they're already hurting with injury. I still think that's going to be a Gronk game. I do. I don't see the Eagles being able to stop Gronk, because he's just a unbelievable physical specimen, and he's going to play at Super Bowl level. And I don't know, T.J. Edwards, Alex Singleton, are they going to be able to stop him? I really do not think so. So it's going to be hard. But no, man, you're the best for checking in. I appreciate it as always, man. But let's go into this. Is there any games? We talked about different positions, and I know the tight ends. We could talk about the tight ends a little bit because even in playoff format, you have to start a tight end. And I just talked about Gronk. But Dan, is there any other tight ends that maybe you look at and say, okay, I don't want to pay $6,400 for Gronk. I don't want to pay $6,700 for Kelsey, but maybe in that $5,000, $4,000 range. Anybody stand out to you?
Yeah, the past 4 weeks, 11, 13, 9, 10 targets at $4,500, Zach Ertz.
Yeah, you can't beat that, man.
But that's a Monday game, so that could be a problem. I think with the way Ben's playing, you got to look for the underneath to Freiermuth, 4,000. And if you really want to go absolutely low ball value and stack your lineup, Cameron Brate.
Yes.
$2,800.
I love Cameron Brate. I do. I had him last week. I'll do him again this week. Whenever they're down in that red zone, he's always looking for Cameron Brate. He really is. He's always looking for Cameron Brate. He loves Cameron Brate, right? And my buddy Tank, watch that. You don't know what this is a work comment. So I know what that's all about. I'm not eating out, Tank. We're good. I'm slimmed down now, so I'm not. My fingers are being healed. How's that? But how about John? I love me some Hunter Henry.
Yeah,
and I've been on a Hunter Henry wagon for the last 3 or 4 weeks, and I think rightfully so. Right? If you break down what he's been able to do, 25 targets in 4 weeks, he's become the go-to guy for Mac Jones, especially in the red zone. So I really, really like what he's been able to do because I don't think that New England team, I think you can agree, is not, they don't have that number one wide receiver. It's not Jacoby Myers, it's not Kendrick Bourne, right? They're always going to have a different guy because they involve everybody, just like Bill Belichick always does. Run the ball, get it to the tight ends. That's the reason why they signed Jonnu Smith and Hunter Henry. But John, tight ends, do you like Henry, or is there any other value out there we haven't discussed?
I have Henry in one of mine. I was feeling Higbee. He's been getting more work in the offense. Unfortunately, he didn't do it all season long for my regular fantasy team, but he's really stepped up over the past few weeks. So I wanted to I was looking at Higbee at 4,100, went down to Hunter Henry at 3,700 just to make things fit. But you know what, the sleeper, and should we go back to another Bengal? CJ Uzoma, look, he's had 6 targets, at least 6 targets in four of the past 5 weeks. All right. That right there at 3,200. 3,200. You want to get a cheap piece of that offense? I mean, that's not a bad play at all.
No.
That would actually, if you want to start stacking Bengals and you don't feel T. Higgins, that's how you get Chase. You go with some Burrow, CJ, and then you get Chase because you made up that money at the tight end.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Our buddy Andre checking in. What's up, Andre? He says, got to give Goddard some love at tight end. 2 touchdowns for Dallas Goddard. Look at Andre showing his bold prediction in here. He also got, I predict Gronk will have a drop and tip for an interception. I just think the Eagles will have a game plan for Gronk. Like that. Listen, Gronk isn't the most coordinated guy in the world. We know that. You can see him stumbling and dumbling, down the field. He's like RoboCop with that arm. Right. But at the end of the day, man, I don't know, Andre. I like the Goddard play because I think Jalen Hurts is going to have himself a game. And one of the things that both you guys know this, it's funny, we off air, we're talking a little bit of NBA, and I was texting all night with my buddy Brace about NBA and going back and forth. And these value plays are how you win games because everybody's going to listen. If not 70% of the public is going to start Joe Mixon. Right. So if Joe Mixon gives you a snowflake, 70% of the people are getting the same snowflake. It's those $4,000 to $5,000 gems that have 3 to 7% ownership level, which you can get on windailysports.com. When you sign up, it will give you the ownership percentages. It will give you the projection models so you can plan accordingly and you can go after these guys and say, okay, that guy's only 3% owned, right? That guy's only through, like, again, I won both of my matchups last night in NBA, all because of a couple guys that were low. DeAndre Hunter, low value guy, gave me 30 points last night for $3,400. That's how you win, right? Only 3.5% of the public were starting DeAndre Hunter. So that's what you have to hit on in these NFL DFS matchups, just like NBA. Get those low ownership guys. So before we close out, because we want to keep this under 40, and we're right on par, man. I love this. Listen, full transparency, I got a hard stop at 10 because I got to get online and get in virtual line for the new Jordans. So just throwing it out there. So 10 a.m. is when they drop. So I got to be online for the J. You got to get the J's on, man. You got to get the heat going. Like my boys tell me, I got to keep the heat game up, just like Heat Ratio Sports. Check that plug. But Dan Green.
Yes.
Whether it be bold predictions, whether it be games that you really like, whether it be games, any last final fantasy playoff thoughts that you have right here on a Saturday morning.
Yeah, I'm pondering that league I was telling you. So this is for the people that do the league that I referenced, where you can only play a player once and then they're done for the rest of the playoffs. So one of the strategies is to stick NFC side, AFC side, so you're never stuck without. If you load up on the Cowboys and somehow they make it to the Super Bowl, God forbid, then you don't have those players left in the Super Bowl. But for this particular weekend, I'm going to reference the Cowboys because I think in that lineup that I was referencing, I might do a Prescott, CeeDee Lamb, Dalton Schultz type lineup.
Ooh, that one Dalton in there, the Roadhouse special.
Yeah, Dalton, yeah. And he's a steady guy. And if you really and then it's somehow, some way you can't fit a Dalton Schultz, Blake Jarwin's back and he has unbelievable value. And there was one point where they were 1 and 1A together before Jarwin got hurt. So just something to think about. But if you go AFC heavy, I have a pretty heavy Cincinnati lineup. And if you're going to go NFC heavy for this playoff format I'm discussing, I'm leaning Dallas.
Oh, see, I Dallas is so inconsistent for me, right? I can't buy in. I can't, because I look at that team and I'm like, what are they, right? What are they at the running back position?
I didn't say Elliott.
Is it going to be Pollard? What's that?
I didn't say Elliott.
I know it's just like, but again, I don't think Dak is the guy that's going to come out and beat you, and I think that's the biggest problem.
Neither is Jimmy G. So that'll be an interesting game.
Yeah, I think so. Now, here's an interesting thing I want to ask you guys before we get out of here, because you always look at when you're looking at these games and you're looking at these players, you're looking at the values. So I think I don't know if you guys notice this, but you pull up your DraftKings page and Jalen Hurts and Gardner Minshew are 1A and 1B. Gardner Minshew is ranked higher than Derek Carr, Jimmy G, and Ben Roethlisberger. I mean, are the football guy? You know how they always say, what do the numbers tell you? What's the line tell you? Something going on here that I'm looking way too far into, because why would they have them neck and neck? Why would Gardner Minshew be more money than Mac Jones, more money than Ben Roethlisberger, Garoppolo, and Derek Carr when he's not even supposed to lace up? Like,
Algorithms.
it's crazy, isn't it?
It's that simple, algorithms, because it look, I don't know how they figure this all out, but I'm sure it's the replacement value of the backup to the starter. If Gardner Minshew goes and starts, I don't think the line changes a whole heck of a lot. Like, it'll move, don't get me wrong, but I'm saying Minshew coming in as a backup quarterback to the starter, and then you gotta watch, and they gotta hedge their bets in terms of the pricing. You set Minshew there, he ain't supposed to start, so who cares that his price tag's there? But that's where he would be worth if he was a starter. That's my take on it.
I just thought it was interesting. Pat says it's the stash you got to pay for the face hair, and Pat also says, I agree with Pat here. I can't put a Cowboys player on my team ever. It's just so hard. Not to reference our boy Big Pun from back in the day, and Donnell Jones. It's so hard. I listened to that last night. But again, it's very, very hard to be able to put a Cowboy, a cockroach, on my team.
No.
Very, very hard.
No, I'm sorry. Fantasy, there is no
Yes.
team allegiance.
No, right.
As a Steeler fan, I had Ray Rice as my keeper. I don't care. He played for the Ravens. Don't matter. Fantasy football, that's money. It has nothing to do with allegiance. Now, that doesn't mean that I'm thrilled on Sunday when they're playing each other and I got, dual priorities. That's no fun. But I ain't going to put my team at risk because of, my favorite team.
Well, that's dirty money in my opinion. So
no, it's a hard route. It's a hard route for sure. So, you root for the production, and you won a 45-44 game where the Niners win, but the Cowboy players that you selected went off. That type of scenario. But
that works.
And the other thing I was thinking, to answer your question with Minshew, I don't know, maybe with the world of COVID, you just have to factor in if there's any last second issues that arise.
Then why aren't all the other backups like that?
Well, Lance is $5,100 less than Minshew.
Yeah, so, but he's not that less than Jimmy G, and he's not, and he's not above starting quarterbacks.
Yeah, it's
Minshew's ranked above starters. It's crazy to me. I don't know. Hey, listen, I don't make the books. I just follow them, right? No,
right.
I just thought it was really interesting. Let's end on this instead of bold predictions. It's kind of like predictions, but I'll go around with you guys, and it doesn't matter position. Just one or two players maybe you think that will not live up to their price tag. Guys that people are hyping up, whether it be a quarterback, running back, receiver, those top guys. What guys are more than likely to fall below their money value this weekend, especially in the early games, because I think there's a lot of interesting storylines with them. Dan, I'll go to you first. Got any guys that you think that maybe just might be below the needle this week?
Man,
it's hard.
I would say maybe Stephon Diggs might not have.
I like that.
The game that you're looking for. And honestly, if Allen doesn't play well, that team is absolute toast. So I'm staying away from Josh Allen at quarterback in my DFS plays. So I'll stick with the Buffalo theme. I'm not saying they're going to lose to New England, because I just think that's going to be a weird game. Frigid weather, as you mentioned. So, instead of saying players per se, I'm staying away from the Tampa Bay Eagles game. I'm not touching players in that game. So I'm staying away from the weather versus predicting which stud player is going to falter. Like, I'm not going to go Brady. I'm not going to go Mike Evans. I'm staying away from the weather games.
I like it. John, you got anybody?
I like the Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs, I think, are the ones that have that highest price tag that could kind of dive bomb, and the Dallas Cowboys. Even one thing I was going to add, what I really think is the most interesting matchups of this playoffs is really that NFC side, that Dallas, San Fran, and the Rams, Cardinals. I mean, I think those two games, out of those four teams, I think any of them have a shot to get to the Super Bowl. I mean, in all reality. And I can see any of them getting knocked out the first round. But I'm actually leaning a little on Stafford. And I think the Rams are going to make some noise out of those four teams.
Listen, it's great that you said that, because I'm going to end with this, which is exactly where I'm going. Jalen Hurts will outplay Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray will be the guy that does not play up to expectations this weekend. There is a reason why McVay signed Eric Weddle. Don't sleep on Eric Weddle. I understand that he hasn't played, come out of retirement. There's a reason why. Okay, there's a game plan involved. McVay, I always told you guys, got a man crush on McVay. Okay, I really do when it comes to coaching. I love the guy. I love everything about him. And one thing I can tell you, he 100% had Weddle the last 6 months working out for this comeback to say, we get in the playoffs, we're going to sign you to the contract, you're going to come out and play, and you're going to spy Kyler Murray. So I'm just telling you right now that Kyler Murray, I said this before, that I don't think he'll ever win a Super Bowl. I just don't think he's that kind of quarterback. He's exciting. He's going to be inconsistent, and he can be stopped. So that's my bold prediction, that I'm staying away from Kyler Murray this weekend. And I think the Rams are going to really stand out. I agree with John with these NFC battles, but I think the Rams are going to stand out and show why they're going to be the Super Bowl contenders in the NFC. But we're going to end this show, as always. Thanks, everybody, for checking in. All the comments, tremendous. Everybody, good luck on your plays, obviously. But most importantly, you're going to follow Win Daily Sports, right? You're going to go windailysports.com, okay? You're going to go on YouTube. You're going to subscribe. You're going to do everything you need to do to get this content every day. So, again, for Tony Jigsaw Cutillo, for Dan Old School Green, for John, Pittsburgh, Coker, and Win Daily Sports team, everybody stay safe, stay healthy, and good luck on your fan.